Finally, he arrived at SOS's hideout. 2 young men were standing by the door as lookouts. Achi recognized one of them. It was the kid whose so-called buddies had tried to shake him down earlier that afternoon. Great. They roused themselves as Achi approached. Hey, I need to see Suzumu. No can do, he's in the middle of something right now. The lookouts made no move to let him through. Achi felt a surge of resentment towards Suzumu. If he'd still been with SOS, he'd never try to post members on guard duty like they were low-ranking Yakuza thugs. Achi pressed again. Please, I need to see him. It's important. Fine, then I guess I'll have to do this the hard way. Achi forcibly shoved the 2 of them aside. Let's try it with words before we beat anyone up. It's important. Just tell him Achi's here. He'll make an exception. At the mention of his name, the 2 lookouts exchanged glances. Alright, I'll go ask him. One of the lookouts headed inside, leaving Achi alone with the kid he'd helped out earlier. You're right. Do they always stick you on guard duty? The boy didn't reply. Back when I ran with SOS, we never needed anyone on lookout. We were just a bunch of guys who loved Shibuya, and who had a fun time hanging out with each other. That's all it was, really. It's not Suzumu's fault that SOS changed, the boy said somewhat fearfully. Lately, it's Kiryu who's been driving things. Kiryu? Oh yeah, that guy. Achi recalled his earlier run-in with him. The guy was an arrogant bully. And he's crazy. As well. He's really fucking crazy. Kiryu's planning to steal Suzumu's throne. What for? The boy took a nervous look at the door before hurriedly continuing. He's trying to expand SOS's influence, and he's got a lot of people on his side. Right now, the gang is kinda split in 2 factions, Suzumu's guys and Kiryu's guys. Why doesn't Suzumu just get rid of this fucker? Seriously. Someone should tell him. Finally, Achi understood what was going on. The gang members had all been acting so weird because they were caught up in some kind of internal struggle. Kiryu goes around recruiting new followers by force, and if he doesn't like you, he dishes out punishment. This month alone, he sent 8 people to the hospital. SOS is a total mess, man. This plan of mine might not work after all. And she felt a sinking sense of despair. If SOS was ravaged with infighting, it was doubtful they'd heed the dangerous request he had for them. Maybe at least the good people? I don't know. But even still, I want to be part of this gang, the boy muttered. She peered at him in surprise. Why? They shake you down for dues, stick you on guard duty. That's not a decent way to treat someone. I look up to Suzumu. He treats me like he would anyone else, even though I'm way down at the bottom. And it's not just me. Suzumu always puts the members of the gang before himself. That's why I want to stick with SOS. He's actually a good guy, I guess. Uh-huh. So that's it, huh? Suzumu really had been trying his best. And the members of SOS, some of them at least, admired him for it and stuck by him. Thanks, Achi said. That kid gave him a dubious look. Achi didn't know if Suzumu would help him out or not, but he knew it was still worth putting their disagreements aside in order to ask. Maybe tell him that he did well so far. I don't know, Achi, you just up and left because of your fucking sister. You didn't even tell anyone because you didn't want to worry them, which made it even worse. The door opened and the other lookout returned. Suzumu says to come in. Achi nodded and strode inside. Keyboard! I guess this is where we can finally use Minurikawa's jump. Right? Right? Let's see. Then again we have a keyboard with Kano, so maybe I want to do that first? Let's do this first, yeah, come on. Let's jump to Kano. As Achi runs out of the shop, let's see what Kano does. Sorry for jumping around so much, but I guess it's what you're supposed to do in these last few hours of the game. Because stuff is finally happening, at a fast pace as well. So what will they do in the meantime? Achi's protests were vehement, but he backed down at last. Tatena would escort Kana and Maria to the lab. That left free to try to apprehend Alfred. Kano, Stanley, and Achi. Having only 3 people was a dicey prospect though, so Achi took it upon himself to head out and gather some backup. See, this is the perfect way to summarize what has been happening, instead of going through the same exposition a second time. Tateno got the car keys from Daisuke, then helped Kanan pick Maria up off the floor. Kano watched him warily. Sorry, that's my phone, just in case you heard that. There was no trace of the blood-curdling expression the older detective had shown when he was holding Maria at gunpoint. His face was that of a man with a responsibility, the Tateno that Kano had always known. Are you sure you're okay doing this? Hitomi asked Tateno. You might get infected. That doesn't matter. Don't worry about me. All I care about now is helping you two if I can. He hesitated, glancing down at the unconscious girl he held. By the way, have Maria's memories come back? Hitomi tilted her head. Her memories? I suspect she took a blow to the head when she was abducted. When I ran into her earlier, she didn't even know her own name. Well, she seemed like the same sister I've always known when she came in here. Good. Then her memory must have recovered. Kano was shocked to hear that Maria had suffered amnesia. Of course, no one knew, right? The only one that could have known was, in fact, Tateno. Or, I guess, Yan Agishita, and that makes me wonder, where the fuck is he in all of this, actually? Where the fuck is Yan Agishita? Will we get an end to his arc as well? But it explained why she hadn't contacted anyone after she'd been set free. Alright then, Tateno said. We'll be back. Carrying Maria, he and Kanan headed for the door. Detective Tateno. Kano called out, then paused, tongue-tied, when Tateno stopped. There were so many things Kano wanted to say, but he couldn't find the words for any of them. Look into your dictum. Come on, dude. Once Maria is safe, I'll turn myself in. Tateno kept his back turned. The words were like a dagger in Kano's heart. Once this was all over, Tateno would no longer be a detective, but a criminal. Kano knew there was no alternative, but still, the realization hit him hard. Detective Tateno, Stop your dithering, but... Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever. Kano snapped back to attention at Tateno's words. That was Dick Dictum number 1, the advice that had kicked off the whole Dick diary. I'm not the one you should be worrying about right now, Tateno continued. We need to save Maria Osawa's life, and protect the people of Shibuya. Kano bit his lip. Yes, you're right. Kano did his best to quash his emotions. I know that, but Kano still wanted to express his regret at how things had turned out for his idol. Let's be a good boy. Kano did his best to quash his emotions. Then we're good. Tateno gave a slight nod, then headed out the door. It's better that way, I believe. Detective Tateno! Just before the older man disappeared, Kano called out one last time. Be careful out there. Kano gave him a silent salute. Why do we get 2 choices in a row that quickly? That feels like it's kinda important. Almost as if it decides whether he dies or lives later on. So let's tell him to be careful? Although this is a dead flag, isn't it? So should we salute him? Oh no, let's tell him to be careful. I don't care if he dies, actually. Kano called out one last time. Be careful out there. Tateno flashed a hint of a smile, then left the workroom. Wait, he also told us that he'd come back, right? To turn himself in. That's another death flag. Fucking hell. Tateno, why do you have to raise them all? Anyway, let's see. There were only 30 minutes remaining until the time when Alfred had told them Hitomi should be at the scramble. They needed to get ready for action. Is the surveillance camera system still up? Kano asked. Yes, Daisuke replied. It looks like what happened earlier was just a temporary hacking job. And will you help us? Daisuke inclined his head. What do you mean? I'd like you to keep your eye on the scramble for us. If anyone suspicious tries to get near Hitomi, let us know. Anyone suspicious? How will I know what's suspicious? Like that organ trafficker who suggested you kidnap Hitomi, Mr. Endo. It's possible that he might be Alfred. Would you be able to recognize his face? Daisuke furrowed his brow deeply as he began entering commands on his keyboard. Yeah, don't think I could ever forget. It's because of him that He left the rest unsaid. Yeah, we remember, Daisuke, don't worry. A moment later, several of the monitors switched over to feeds from around the scramble. Alright, Daisuke squinted at the images. I'm not sure how much help I can be, but let me at least try to atone for what I've done. Of course, and thank you. We got a real team now. Daisuke's fingers flew over the keyboard, and soon all of the monitors were focused on the scramble and its surroundings. Then he carefully adjusted the angle and zoom for each of the cameras. Now the whole area was under total surveillance. All they had to do was get their stakeout crew to the scene. Where did Achi go? Kano asked Hitomi. I'm not totally sure, but I think he went to find some of his old friends. Hitomi sounded worried. Friends? Achi used to belong to a gang called SOS. Actually, he told me he was the one who formed the gang in the first place. What? Kano couldn't keep the shock from his voice. Achi was the founder of SOS? How bizarre that the two of them would wind up meeting each other this way. Huh? Wait. What did Kano have to do with the SOS? Oh, fuck, this game is too long. But I guess there was a big falling out between them, so I think he went to try and win them back over. Kano hadn't heard anything good about SOS since Achi had left them. If things had ended on bad terms between him and the gang, getting them to help might well be a lost cause. And even if Achi was able to gather some people up, how much would Kano and the others be able to trust him? Whoa, she looks really cute in this picture. It'll be alright, Hitomi said, as if sensing Kano's thoughts. I'm sure Achi will bring back some of his old friends. And when he does bring them, I'm sure he'll choose people we can count on. Yeah, Suzumu in the hardcore of the SOS, I guess. You really trust him, don't you? Yes, Hitomi said without hesitation. Then a blush came to her cheeks. Aww. Alright, then I'll trust him too. It would take about 10 minutes to get from Endo Electronics to the Scramble. Kano turned to Stanley. Let's plan to head out by 6:50. Stanley gave no reply. He had withdrawn to the edge of the room where he stood lost in thought, his expression uneasy. Kano decided to leave him alone for a bit. Taking a sheet of paper from one of the desks, he began drafting a plan for positioning Achi's reinforcements around the Scramble. What is Stanley thinking about? Fuck, I need to be there on time. I am Alpha. That would be crazy. Alright, there we go. In about 5 minutes he had drawn up a little map of the optimal places to deploy the team. It included positions for as many as 20 people Achi might bring back. Kano turned around, surprised to find Stanley right behind him all of a sudden. The American looked haggard. Is something the matter? Kano asked. You need to go to the Scramble without me. What? Where's this coming from all of a sudden? Please, don't ask me to explain. Something else has come up, and I have to see to it. How did it come up? No one contacted you. Or did we just miss it? Sweat beaded on Stanley's brow. Fuck, does he think that he's infected or something maybe? Whatever had happened, Kano had no doubt it was something major. And almost certainly, it had something to do with Alfred. Stanley, Kano said. Please tell me. We're past the point of keeping secrets. I understand. Do what you have to. And come back soon. As much as I'd like to know, I don't think he'd tell us anyway. So let's tell him that we trust him. Even though I don't personally, kinda. I'm sorry, I wish I could tell you more. It's alright, I'll find a way to get by. Kano had a vague idea of what Stanley was up to. He probably felt he needed to keep things hidden even from his own allies, in order to help keep Alfred in the dark. Yeah, maybe, or at least that was Kano's guess. This was no ordinary opponent they were up against. Keeping secrets even among friends wasn't necessarily a bad call. Kano, promise me one thing. What's that? Once this is all over, you'll go have a beer with me. Sure, alright. Kano couldn't help but smile. That's a promise now, remember? The promise these two mages now mirrors another made by a certain pair of brothers in the past. Once this is all tidied up, I'm gonna need a drink. Let's you and me have a beer together. That was what the younger brother said, and the older brother still feels the pain of that promise going unfulfilled. Wait, who's this? Oh, fuck, what? I can jump to Stanley? Amazing. Well, now that surprised me, I gotta say. Please tell me I can jump to Yanagishita in the future sometime. Please. And with that, Stanley hurried out of the workroom. I mean, what the fuck would Yanagishita even do? But still. Maybe he's Alpha. That would be really crazy. Kano glanced at his watch. It was coming up on 6:50. Pretty soon they'd have to head for the scramble. But Achi still hadn't returned. "We need to head out soon," he said to Hitomi. "You said 6:50, she replied. "There's still 2 more minutes to go." Kano let out a tiny sigh. He shared Hitomi's fervent hope that the reinforcements would come, but not her confidence. If Achi didn't reappear, Kano would be left to protect Hitomi all by himself, and to try to apprehend Alfred as well. Would he be able to pull it off if it came to that? He'd just have to trust himself to see things through on his own. He decided to head to the scramble with Hitomi right away. No, he'd never be able to do it on his own. He decided to wait for Achi, accepting that they'd be late. Again, that seems like a pretty big decision, I don't know. But let's wait for Achi because I trust Achi. And I also kind of trust Suzumu. So, yeah, whatever. The clock kept up its steady ticking. With each minuscule moment of the second hand, Kano felt a tightness growing in his chest. A minute passed. 2 minutes. Time was of the essence. They couldn't keep waiting any longer. "Hitomi, I don't like having to do this, but we can't wait any longer." Seeing the look of determination on Kano's face, she gave a tiny, reluctant nod. Should we have jumped? Or can we jump now, I guess? Guess we can. So let's do that real quick. Can't jump to Stanley yet. So I assume we have to jump to Achi first. Which is... Is this Stanley's jump? What? Wait a second. Oh, there's another jump down here, right? Achiendo. I guess this is it, when he enters. Almost forgot, but not this time, game. Not this time. A young man. It's Achiendo. And we can finally jump, I assume. Yes, we can. The door opened, and the other lookout returned. "Suzumu says to come in." "Come on in, rather." Achi nodded and strode inside. The scent of alcohol and cigarettes washed over him. Suzumu sat on the sofa at the far end of the bar. It was where Achi used to sit back in the day. "What do you want?" Suzumu asked immediately. Achi walked up to him and then got down on his hands and knees. "Huh? What are you doing down there? The hell is this all about?" "I need people to bring a guy down. I'm here to ask for your help." The crowd around him flew into an uproar. Peals of mocking laughter rang in Achi's ears. "I know I have no right to ask you this, but please, I really need your help." "Just some guy, huh? Who?" "He's an international terrorist trying to get his hands on some wonder drug for a killer virus. If we don't catch him, somebody I know is going to die. That's not all. He might try to unleash the killer virus here in this city." "What?" Suzumu burst out laughing. God, that's a really crazy picture of him. "This is some kind of joke? You all right in the head there, Achi?" The other gang members followed his lead, unleashing another storm of mockery. The laughter continued for quite some time. Finally, Achi had had enough. "Shut your damn mouths!" Achi said nothing. He grit his teeth and stared up at Suzumu. Let's show him our determination. He endured the ridicule and simply stared up at Suzumu. As patiently as he could, he waited for Suzumu to give the proverbial nod. Finally, the laughter subsided and Suzumu crouched down and got in Achi's face. "Is that how you go about asking someone a favor?" Suzumu growled menacingly. "If you have a problem with me kowtowing like this, I can apologize. If you have a problem with me kowtowing like this, I can apologize some other way all you want. But don't you care that I just told you Shibuya is in danger?" Achi's voice was unwavering. "But face it, Suzumu, isn't Shibuya the reason everyone here hangs out with each other? If you're telling me you don't want to keep our town safe, then I won't ask you guys for anything again. I withdraw my request." The two glared into each other's eyes. Then, before Suzumu could reply, an odd man stepped in between them. "Can I jump to him again?" "I actually can. It's not the end for Minurikawa after all." "Sounds like you've got an interesting story," he said. "Mind letting me hear too?" You again? Didn't you already get your interview? Susumu rolled his eyes. I think Grovels here might be telling the truth. The newcomer's face was all seriousness. It lines up with the information I have. Hey Grovels, you got a second? My name's not Grovels, Achi growled. It's Achi. I'm Minoru Minurikawa, magazine reporter. And I know a bit about that stuff you were saying just now. The killer virus you mentioned is called a virus. That wonder drug is an antiviral medication. And the person you know who might die is Maria Osawa. Fuck, I bet Minurikawa is enjoying this so much right now. He can finally let it all get out of the bag. Am I right? And she was almost too shocked for words. How do you know all that? Minurikawa ignored him and turned to the SOS leader. Susumu, he said. Something really is going down in Shibuya. What are you going to do about it, boss? Susumu bit his lip. He looked pretty conflicted. Sounds good to me, someone called out. Let's give him a hand. Oh, it's him. And she turned to see where the voice had come from. It was Kiryu. You shut up, Susumu said with a glare. Break out of your rut, old man, Kiryu sneered. Achi here is right. Isn't keeping our beloved Shibuya safe what SOS does? Why, Kiryu of all people? He slipped an arm around Achi's shoulders. You okay with that, right, Achi? Me going against Susumu's orders to help you out? Kiryu's lips pulled back in a broad, unsettling grin. At first, we have unfinished business, you and I. I mean, I'm willing to lend a hand even though you ditched the gang and all. But first we've got to settle our score, here and now. You understand, don't you? Yeah, you're right. Kiryu grinned hungrily. It's guillotine time! Well, a bunch of the gang members started up an eager clamor at Kiryu's pronouncement. In a matter of moments, Achi was grabbed from all sides and hoisted up onto a pool table. A dozen young men held down his arms and legs, positioning him so his head jutted out past the table's edge. The fuck is happening? Kiryu brought out a steel pipe nearly a meter long. I hope Susumu is gonna stop that. It was caked liberally with dried blood. That's not hygienic. Guillotine! 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 Oh, come on. Yeah, we got it. The men of Kiryu's faction pumped their fists in the air, chanting madly. Kiryu licked his lips as if drunk off of their cheers. Psycho! Glancing to one side, Achi saw Minurikawa speaking emphatically to Susumu. It looked like the reporter was trying to talk some sense into the SOS leader. Man, Minurikawa's the goddamn best. Man, today's my lucky day. I get to take the head off SOS's original head. Achi twisted his neck to peer up at him. Man, what point is there in taking my head right now? Oh my. You don't get it, do you? See, if I send you to the hospital, everyone in Shibuya is going to know my name. And once I've got a big ass sign over my head, I'll be able to unite this town under my banner in one fell swoop. What happened there? Kiryu's eyes were crazed and bloodshot. He has to be on drugs. Then that's all the more reason for you to do as I'm asking. If you want to unite Shibuya, you have to protect it first. But if you think you need to take my head to do that, then go right ahead. Even if these guys were all like Kiryu, if this many of them actually showed up at the scramble, they'd be able to do far more than Achi could hope to do by himself. Are you sure? The ultimate goal was to capture Alfred. Achi didn't care how they made that happen. He was just sorry he wouldn't get to see it through, to protect Hitomi to the very end. Okay then, Kiryu brayed. The gloves are coming off. Go on, do it. Achi braced himself. Achi balked at the last second. No wait, hold on. Do it. I want to die one last time with Achi. Just make sure to keep your promise. Kiryu raised the steel pipe high above his head, and then, before he brought it down, he flicked the tip of his tongue from his mouth like a snake. He's so crazy. You dumbass, I didn't promise you nothing. Achi strained in sudden panic, but his limbs were pinned down too forcefully for him to have any hope of avoiding what was to come.